welcome back to another episode with Cooking with Carmen on Taste on TV. So, as we're getting into the colder season, we got a soup here. So we're gonna do a real hearty soup that's for you. That's actually is healthy as well, but also a great filler. So the name of the soup is going to be kielbasa sausage with kale and potatoes. So something that is real easy and simple to make. It doesn't take all day. So we're gonna start with our ingredients, all our ingredients that you're actually gonna need. So you're gonna need chicken broth. Now you can use vegetable stock if you like, that is also an option. And then we have heavy whipping cream. So when it comes to the heavy whipping cream, I always recommend this instead of half and half or just whipping cream. This here is going to help you with the color of your broth, and then also it helps thicken it some, but not a whole lot. So this is where the cornstarch comes in to give it a little bit more thickness. We have our kielbasa sausage here. We have our garlic. We have our thyme. We have our onions, which we're actually going to saute. We have our smoked paprika, and if you don't have access to smoked paprika, you can just use the regular, which will be perfectly fine. We have pepper, we have olive oil, you have your butter, you have your potatoes, and you have your kale. So these are all the ingredients that you need, not a whole lot. It's not an expensive dish at all, and very affordable, and something that you can just really feed the family and get them real full, because that's what we want, right? Like I said, it's getting colder, so we want something to warm our insides up. We'll be comfy and cozy, so look, I got you covered. So you guys ready to roll? So now we're gonna go ahead and start on our potatoes and get those cut. So actually what I'm using is russet potatoes, just a real simple potato. We don't have to do anything fancy. And you wanna put them in, you actually wanna cut them in chunks. Okay, so they don't have to be all fancy or anything. Now, of course, I'm used to cutting, so mine is going to be a little bit more uniform, but if yours is not, don't even worry about it, it's okay. So if you notice just how I'm going through, I'm just cutting that. There's no particular uniform or anything like that. Just wanna coarsely cut those. And if you wanna leave them round and whole like that, you can definitely do that, because they're actually gonna break down anyway. So now that we have the potatoes chopped, so I'm just gonna slide those over here. So we're gonna go ahead and start on our kale. So we just want to kind of roughly cut this. We don't want it in too small of a piece. We're just gonna go through and just kind of cut that just like that. Just slice it in half, just a rough chop, that's it. Okay. So this is gonna break down in the broth. And kale is really, it's really good for you. So I use it in a lot of different soups and even in a lot of different dishes. So it's not just for decoration on a meat and cheese tray. We're just gonna take that whole stack. I'm just gonna go through there just like that. Give it one good cut. So you just wanna make sure that when you do get your kale, you always wanna rinse it off or any additional dirt. You treat it in a way almost like you do greens, except for with greens. We'll talk about that in another episode, but with greens it's a little bit more processed, but you do want to make sure that you are rinsing that off real good. Now that we have that cut, we're going to go ahead and start on our, chop up the rest of our kielbasa sausage. So, I like the taste of kielbasa, but you can also use, if you want to use the regular smoked sausage, or if you want to use turkey sausage, it's always an option. So there's nothing that's written in stone when it comes to cooking in this particular dish. So my sausage, I'm gonna cut my meat a certain way. So I'm gonna cut it in an angle. Now you don't have to, if you don't want to, you can just slice it over regular, you know, it's the round circles, but I'm gonna slice mine in an angle. Okay. So we're just gonna go through and slice that just like that. And I don't want it really thin, because you want to be able to taste that meat as you get a spoonful. So we don't want to be searching for our meat. We want to make sure it's visible, it's there. We want to see it so we can taste it. Okay, so now that we have everything cut, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil in here because we're going to get ready to saute our onions. So we want just enough, just to kind of coat the bottom just a little bit. I'm going to swirl that around. My pan is already hot, so I'm going to go ahead and dump my onions in there. And those are white onions that I'm using. No, I'm sorry. They are yellow, sweet onions that I'm using for this dish. It's just a preference. If you have white onions, by all means use it. Okay? Sweet onion is just going to give it just that little hint of sweetness in there, but it's not mandatory. So as these onions begin to saute, anytime that you're sauteing, you want to just make sure that as it cooks down, you're looking for that translucent color. That's going to be your indicator that lets you know that your onions are there, are pretty much done. So we're going to give that a little swirl around with that olive oil. And then we'll go ahead and add some butter in there. We want butter, not margarine, okay? We want the real deal, butter. So in this, I love butter, so I will slap a load of butter in everything. So let me see how many tablespoons I'm going to use today. The butter god said use 4, so I'm going to use 4. Slap that in there, swirl that around. I may add more during the process, we'll just see. The one thing about soups is like, just like any other thing that you're fixing, it's just kind of like it's like a blank canvas. So you just fill in, you just add things and you just create. So that's what we're doing. We're just adding things as we go. We're gonna create these flavors in here, these awesome flavors. So now that my onions have already broken down, I am going to go ahead and we're gonna add our chicken broth in there. So, and depending on just how many people that you're trying to feed is gonna determine just how much chicken broth you're gonna use. So I have this big one here, so we're gonna use all of this. So if you have a big family, you're trying to feed at least a family of 5 or 6 or more, you're gonna need several boxes. I would probably say at least anywhere maybe from 3 to 4 starters. And I'm kind of eyeballing this as I go, and I'm thinking I may not even need to use all of this third one, we'll see. But definitely if you're just only trying to do this for like 2 or 3 people, I would say 2 boxes would be all that you need. Oops, got a little splatter there. Okay. So that's all I'm gonna use. So I didn't use all of the third one, so that's more than enough. So as this begins to boil, I'm turn my heat up just a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and mix my garlic. I love garlic. Garlic just always enhances the flavor in any dish. But you really do have to be careful because you can put too much garlic in there. But for me, I love garlic. So I'm starting out with 4 cloves. And I like the bigger cloves. And you can, if you don't have a mincer. So I just lost my garlic. But that's okay because I have more. Trust, I keep a lot of garlic on hand. So we're gonna go through that. I can't believe I just did that. I just lost my garlic. Y'all don't lose your garlic, okay? Don't lose your garlic. I don't know why I have issues with keeping my food in my pots. I don't know what the problem is. Do y'all know? Don't answer that. So, this is my 3rd clove. So these cloves are actually a lot bigger. So minced garlic, if you want to chop it up, you can, but I love to use my mincer. If you don't have one, you really want to get one. I'm telling you, this is like the Holy Bible of cooking. I should say that, Holy Bible. I mean, you don't want to go nowhere without it. I mean, it's like a must. It's a must, seriously. This is my favorite one. I have like 3, but I always use this one. So I got my garlic minced. So that garlic is really gonna give, like I said, it gives out a lot of flavors when it's minced, but you can also buy the jar garlic. I'm not a big fan of it, but it does get the job done. Simply because it has a lot of preservatives and things of that nature. I like to use a lot of fresh ingredients as much as possible. So, but like I said, that is definitely an option for you guys. If you don't want to mince the garlic, it's okay. Go buy the kind in the jar. That's fine. It'll still get the job done. Just, you know, to me, the flavor, anytime anything is fresh, it's a lot better, okay? Because the taste has not been altered. I'll just put it that way. So now we're gonna go ahead and dump our potatoes in. So this time I'm gonna make sure I'm really careful because I don't want all this to splatter up. Put my potatoes in there so those can start cooking. And that's gonna break down. So as it cooks and it breaks down, this is gonna help thicken the sauce just a little bit, but not a whole lot. So with my bases in my soups, I like my broth. For majority of my soups, I like to have a thicker broth. So I will always add cornstarch. Some dishes I won't add, for like chicken soup, I'll leave that as is, but most of my, anytime that I give a recipe for any type of sauce or broth, I'm always gonna use cornstarch as a thickener as well as the heavy whipping cream. It's just something additionally that I like to do because I like for my bases to be creamy. And so now our soup has come to a boiling boil, just like the way we need it to. So now we're gonna go ahead and add the remainder of our ingredients. So we're gonna go ahead and start with our kielbasa sausage. So we're gonna go ahead and add that in there. Want to be really careful when you're adding that. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our fresh herb in there, which is thyme. And I love using thyme. It gives it a unique flavor. It's thyme is it's what I think it's kin to like the mints and the oregano family. They're like cousins. Just FYI. But it's really a great herb. I like to use this a lot in a lot of my dishes. So like I said, it gives it a unique flavor. So I love thyme. So what I'm going to do is actually, I like to slide off the leaves off of here. You can actually dump the whole sprig in there if you want to, but me, I like to just run my finger down it like this and just get the little leaves off in there and add that in there. So, I mean, I don't think it's tedious, but you know, for you guys it may be. So there's always options. Like I said, you can throw the whole sprig in there. It's not gonna hurt it. But me personally, I just like to go through this process here. Just a little something to do, I guess. Part of my stress reliever. So I'm just gonna continue just to do that. And I would probably say, just depending on, normally there is no specific amount really. I just do it until I feel that it's enough. So you're probably like, Carmen, that's not helping me. Okay, so let's try this. I'd say probably start out with 4 sprigs and then you want to go ahead and taste it. If you like what you taste, then go ahead and stop. If not, then add a little bit more. But I guess to really find out, you really need to be more familiar with thyme and how it actually, the flavor that it actually gives off. So I don't know how many sprigs I've just added within the short time I just talked to you guys. See, I just love thyme. So like I said, I'm adding quite a bit that's in here. It gives off a great flavor. So as this is rolling, the potatoes are pretty much there. They're cooking. So I'm gonna go ahead and taste this first before we start adding. Let me get my spoon here. This. That is good. Oh my God. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt in here. Just a little bit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my smoked paprika. I like adding smoked paprika and stuff. Why? I don't know. I just do. I like the smoked flavor that it gives off. So I'm just gonna add a little bit. That's just gonna add a little color in there. It's not gonna really do a whole lot to that. It's gonna give that those little red speckles that's in there. So So your kale, you want to add that last because it really doesn't take long for kale to cook. And what you don't want it to do is to overcook. You still want it to have like a little texture to it, a little crunch. But I mean, if you want it really soft, then by all means go ahead. But as for me, I like it to still have that little crunch in it. I'm just gonna push that down in there, let that submerge. I'll fix quite a bit here. I can never cook small. Something I gotta work on. I don't think it's gonna work. I've been cooking for a long time and I ain't mastered that yet. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and add my heavy whipping cream in here, because that heavy whipping cream, that's going to give you that cream, that white color. So there is no specific brand that, you know, go back in here and taste that. Just make sure I don't need to add any other seasonings in there. More than likely, I probably just will add a little bit of salt. That's probably all that it needs. And then we're gonna add our cornstarch to thicken up our base, and then we're gonna be done. So this is real quick and simple to make. It doesn't take all day. Good, nice, hearty meal to feed the family. So you guys can get together. Minus the phones, put your phones down and engage in one another. Okay, it's crucial. It is critical. Get to know your loved ones, spend time with them, because tomorrow's not promised. So we have our cornstarch here. So what I'm going to do is just pour some in here. You want to be really careful with this. I'm going to pour enough in here because I'm probably not going to use all of this, but I want to make sure that I have enough so I don't have to go back and make more. And what I'm going to do is just add water in here. And a lot of times I like to use warm water. It just helps break down faster. We want to make sure we get all the humps out. And you want to really be careful too when you're doing this, because if you put too much, it will make it pasty, and that you don't want to do. So you'll spend a lot of time trying to fix that. And depending on what you're making, it just really depends on what you're making on how to adjust that. And in this case, I don't know, maybe chicken broth can probably help smooth that out, but that just means you're gonna have a lot more broth. So I'm gonna add that in there a little bit at a time. Use my spatula for that. I want that broth to be a little thicker, because I made quite a bit. So let's go back in here. I'm gonna add some more. So we're just gonna repeat that process. If the broth is not to where you want it, just continue that process until you get it to your liking. I think that's gonna do it right there. That's it. That's the consistency that I'm looking for as far as my broth. So it's not too thick and not too thin. So it's right there in between, just where I want it to be. And so the kale has cooked down some, and so we're done. This is good. So let me go ahead and give this another little taste and make sure it's where it needs to be. See if I need to add anything in addition to it. Turn that fire down. That is really boiling. That is hot. It's good. I just burned my tongue too. So I'm gonna give it just a little bit more salt, and I'm gonna add some pepper in there. After that, it's done. We're good. So if you see that texture that you have, you got that creamy texture right in there. You have your chunks of potatoes, you have your kielbasa, you have your kale. So this is your meal right here. This is good. This is good. This is what we want right here. A good hearty meal. And you can always, if you want, you can add a little cornbread with it. We're not doing cornbread today. But you can always add that, or a little nice dinner roll to go with it. If you would like bread. So that's actually good. This time I try not to burn myself. That's good. That's good. That's really good. How many times did I say It's almost like Johnny Gill. My. Lord Jesus. That is good. Y'all gonna enjoy that. See, that's another one for the books. And so now that we have the soup completed, here is the final dish here. So we have the kale, you see the sausage, you see the kielbasa, you have that fresh thyme that's on top. So a lot of different flavors going on in this dish. This is a very warming, inviting dish. This dish is gonna make you go to sleep. So get ready, get your blanket, get comfortable. There it is, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've had a great time with you all, and I hope to see you all again on the next show. Thank you for tuning in with Cooking with Carmen on Taste on TV, and I'll catch you guys another round. Bye.
That was lovely.
Wow. All right, guys, so we have a very special guest. This is my Nana. This is my grandmother. Well, we call her Nana. We call her Nana, my Nana, okay? Let's get that established. I don't like to share her, but I'm gonna share her with you guys just for a moment, okay? So, she has been a big contribution in far as my cooking, because she's taught me a lot of things too. So, she came down here and I'm gonna let her taste this soup that I just made. So she's gonna give her review on this. So I'm just gonna sit right here.
Well, first I'd like to thank my granddaughter for being the gracious person she is and such a wonderful cook. And as I was sitting here watching her prepare this meal and the aroma, I mean, if you weren't hungry, right away you became hungry. So now I'm all set to do this taste test. And the proof is in the pudding. Oh, that's so good. Excuse me, but this is really good. I mean, you can taste everything in here. The kale, the kielbasa, the potatoes, all the good stuff that I love is in here. And, oh, I'm just so ready.
I don't even know what to say.
Granddaughter, thank you.
Oh, I love you. I love you too, Mama. You gonna make me cry. My eyes are already watery.
Pork. As we look at the seasons changing, this is ideal for the fall coming up. But that doesn't mean you can't make it in the summer. Oh goodness, this is good. Thanks again, baby.
You're welcome, Nana.
I don't know, the crew may not get any of this today. I'm taking the whole pot back to Oklahoma City.
She gonna take the whole pot back. Well, you enjoy that, Nana. That's all yours. And then some more.
And the whole pot.
The whole pot. She won't take the whole pot. So y'all gotta look behind the scenes. Y'all gotta wait till the next meal. All right. You like it? Thank you, Nana.